This is week 12. That means that next week you're going to give me, we're going to have Mao and, the exam. You're going to give me 10 drawings that you like. And at home, people are going to send me by email. I think the deadline is the 9th, right? December the 9th. And then I give you back the drawing week after, the last week, with your mark. That's clear, that you know the procedures. But for today, I want to talk about a few problems that I've seen in your drawing from your imagination. One is where the hip is. What is the relationship between hip and leg? Where the leg starts. I've seen that as a common problem. It repeats itself lots of the time. Then I want to talk about that a little bit, and hopefully that helps to fix that problem. The thing is, you have to study the bone and understand where the really hip is. That bone landmark, that is the hip bone that we see on the surface, right? But as you see, there's a lot more of hip on the top of that bone landmark. And where the leg starts, this is the joint, the big joint here, the biggest joint in the body and the coolest joint in the body, which is very flexible and does a lot of things. And you can dance, and you can do a lot of things because of that joint. The most important joint probably in the body. This joint starts almost 2 inches below that bone landmark. I do it here a little bit bigger, and that helps to, that's the bone landmark that you see on the surface. But this is where really the joint is and the leg starts. The leg starts. Then you have this much, 2 inches. Distance that is for the hip. And usually in drawing, people start the leg here, not there. They sort of connect this to the leg, and they don't give space for the hip. That's the most common problem that I've seen. Then from front, we see that they connect this to this, which is wrong, and they forget about this part. From back, as I said last week when we were doing this drawing from imagination, from back also I tried to draw a little bigger to make my point. From back, you have this. The bone landmark that you have when you want to draw is this triangle, right? The triangle here. But look, the leg, the joint starts almost end of this triangle. This bone landmark comes almost an inch below that triangle. That's the bone landmark that I'm drawing here. And the whole butterfly muscle is here. And then as you see, this line, which is very important for us when we go on the surface, is below where the legs start. It's kind of here. It's kind of here. It's kind of here. And then the bone landmark for the leg is here, and the bum is here. That also is a problem that I see. Pretty much the same problem. Both from front view and from back view, because people haven't studied the hip and how how it is positioned in the body, then they end up with these kind of problems. Right? This is about the hip. Another thing that I want to talk is about the hand, how to draw the hand. And again, I've seen a lot of problems. People have problems with that. It's too that the hand and actually the foot that I'm going to talk very briefly. You know, again, this is, I mean, if you want to draw the hand, definitely you have to understand the bone. You know, you have the bone, you have the muscle, you have the tendon, but the bone is 90% of drawing a hand. If you understand the bone and how to draw them, then the muscle and tendon are easy peasy to me. The problem with the hand is that, okay, if you want to draw the hand, start with the rest. Don't start with the hand. You have to understand the rest, where the rest is and what it's doing. And when it comes to the rest, what you have on the surface, the bone landmarks that you have on the surface is this bone landmark, or I should on my own hand. You know, that bone landmark, right? I'm talking about this because you want to construct something from your head, and then what you have on the surface as bone landmark is very important, because that's what you see on the surface, and you have to know what to construct around that, right? That's why that's a very important starting point. But another bone landmark that you don't see it, but you have to feel it, is this bone, which is more important than the other bone. I'll explain why it's more important in drawing the hand. Because the whole rest, the whole ball of rest is 7 different little bones that they are like a ball or modified ball. But the whole ball of rest is attached to this bone, not this one. Then this one, that is the bone landmark, is kind of free aging. Very important because it's shown on the surface and you see it, but the bone that carries the rest or is attached to the rest is this one. This one, that you don't see it much on the surface, but you feel it. If you touch your hand, your rest, you see that this part is huge and this part is really minor. It's nothing compared to the other one. Right? Sort of holding is support. The role of this bone is very important in the elbow area, because that's the main bone for the elbow, doing like that, and it goes all the way back there. But for the rest, this bone is very important, and this bone is that's responsible for the movement of this that rotates. You know, that's the bone that is responsible for that. Then understanding the position of this bone and the position of the ball. The ball is tricky. Again, when you want to draw the hand, I'm saying just start with this joint. The ball is very obvious when you go to this position. It's hidden when you go to positions like that. You don't see it. My point is, draw it every time. Try to understand it every time. Because, again, like the hip problem, it's got a lot of space. It's almost like 1 inch. And sometimes when you're not in position like this, we forget about it. We don't draw it. And we get in trouble. We get into trouble because everything else is connected to this ball. And you have to know where it is. In any drawing, you have to know where it is. And then after finding out the problem with this ball, then now you have to go to this part, which is, you have a big confusion here is the thumb. Because thumb, in a way, you can say doesn't have this part, or is one short, one joint is short, the rest of it. Then you have to separate the story of thumb, the rest of hand, in order to solve that. First figure this out, this part, and then when you can do it as a box, going like that. And then go for a triangle for the thumb, and solve the problem of the thumb separately. One of the big mistakes that I've seen, people put all these the thumb and the rest at one point, but this is a lot higher than this, right? I try to again draw it bigger to show you. This is just I was trying to show you that it's in your book, but it's very good that this bone is free agent, and the ball of the rest is attached to this bone, right? The other bone. But the point that I was talking about right now, see. Again, this is a good way of understanding the bone structure of the hand. You see, it's the ball, but the thumb is going different direction than the fork. That's what I mean. People put all these points, the joint, with the thumb at the same line, but the thumb is a lot higher. You can see it on your hand. You can see it. Anyway, that's one mistake. Another common mistake that people do, again, when it comes to this part of drawing the hand, is that they don't notice that this joint, these joints, all of them, are much into the flesh. These are the joints that I'm talking about, right? As you see, half of first joint of every finger is in the flesh. And people don't draw it that way. They start the flesh here. Instead of here, they start here. That's another common mistake that I see. I'm trying to draw it here. You see, these are the joints, but the flesh starts here. Right? That's another common mistake. If you pay attention to these things, I think drawing the hand is easy. It's not difficult at all. Just because it's complicated, it's got so many bones, so many different movement and direction. You are not patient enough to study each part and draw it. But I hope these. Sorry, Mr. Scott. Too bad you're filming, Mr. Scott. He's going to be embarrassed. Yeah, I told you, but I never said it in the film. He used to be a teacher here. that's what happens to you. The very dedicated teacher, right? Soul teaching. Yeah, I hope these will help you to draw the hand better. Right? Are you with me? The last thing that I want to talk very quickly is the foot. Drawing the foot. When it comes to drawing the foot again, I think the main point again is the bone structure. Let's go for this one. Okay, that's better. The main thing is the bone structure, and the difference between the joint that we had equivalent to the rest, I mean the ankle, the difference is when it comes to the foot, both bones are involved. The joint is created by three different bones. Two for the lower leg and one this big bone here for the foot. And that's one thing. Before, I mean, in previous classes, I told you that this joint is very misleading because it's one side is higher than the other side. I mean, the inner side of the joint is way higher, almost 1 inch higher than the other side. Another misleading thing is one side is closer to, I mean, more forward, and one side more backward. It's not, that's the source of most problem with drawing the leg. Because people draw them very, how do you say it in English? Symmetrical, but it is very way asymmetrical, really. In all different directions, you think about it, is asymmetrical. That's the difference with the joint of the rest. Another thing that people don't pay attention that it's this joint is very flexible. It moves a lot. Not only the joint does a lot of movement, but these bones are not fixed. For example, the ankle moves a lot. This bone. You can try it with your own. And then different position, you have a fixed imagination, understanding of these bones, but they're not fixed. They move a lot. They are very more flexible than what you think. That's the second big problem that I've seen. Another problem that people, again, don't pay much attention. You know, with this arc, we are very familiar. Everybody knows about this arc. Very important arc. But also pay attention, this arc is not just this way. It's also going in. This part is going in, right? But the arc that people don't pay attention to are and they're there. There are these two arc on the other side. Mr. Scott is not happy with this. He's not cooperating with me. You see, this one and that one. You don't see it much on the surface, but you can feel it. And in my opinion, if you don't understand it, if you draw a straight line for this, for the outer side of the foot, you're in trouble. You have to feel this, and there is an important bone landmarks here that you can see it on the surface of a lot of people. That's a good clue to how to draw it and how to figure out these two extra arcs that people usually don't draw and don't do it. In my own experience, I realized that because when you see it, because there's a lot of weight, you see this as a flat, straight line. Don't see it that way. To try to see this arc and indicate that bone landmark, it helps a lot. Then, of course, there are other stuff that I'm not going over. This tendon here, the Hercules, or what it's called? Hercules, yeah, the tendon, very important. This is very important in drawing the foot. Always finding out about this bone landmark on the surface and the Hercules is a good clue for, how do you say it? Achilles? Achilles. That's very important to draw the foot. There are more stuff that also important in drawing the foot. One of which is that these four, in the hand, the story of the arm is, the story of the arm is totally different than the rest of fingers. But in the foot, you can see sort of modified version of the same story, because these four, they are going that way, that one going that way. here, the direction is different, but at this point, they get together again. They separate here, go in different direction, but at this point, they turn back and they get together and creates this movement of the big toe, right? And much more, but I think these are the main points that I just want to make. Hopefully it's helping to draw this part of the body better. Okay? For now, you can practice these. It's up to you. You can practice whatever you want. And then also, I remind you that next week you're going to give me 10 drawings. You might want to think of that and introduce your drawing that you like better. Right? No question? Should we start? Okay, thank you.